My dad used to say, what's remembered lives.
It's been many years since I started out for that goal.
I maybe spent too much of my life just remembering.
Finding bits and pieces, all worth their reach, I'll carry it on.
Oh, he's gonna come right through the glass.
Driving down the highway, roll down the window, watch it go.
What the nomads are doing is not that different than what the pioneers did.
Whatever's in the breeze, keep me company when I roll.
One of the things I love most about this life is that there's no final goodbye.
Drifting.
Let's just say I'll see you down the road.
Hey, find anything interesting? Rocks!
Nomadland. This movie is about a 61-year-old widow named Fern that loses everything in her life. A beloved husband, a home, a job. So she embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad. The small western town of Empire, Nevada, where she used to live with her husband, is shutting down due to an economic collapse. So many people lost their job during the Great Recession. Fern's husband is one of the workers before he died of cancer. Everyone has already moved out from the place and continues on their life. The place become abandoned town, but Fern is in between. She's in a state where she wants to move on and keep living, but at the same time, she feels trapped in a precious past life. There's a scene in film where Fern is being interviewed by a worker at the employment agency. The worker advises Fern to start taking Social Security, that is a government pension, instead of trying to find a work since her age is not relevant. But Fern's pension will not be enough to live and support her, so Fern chooses to become a nomad. That is a person who moves from place to another place. Some of people think that being a nomad is like a romantic journey through nature. Feels like you're never tied down in the same spot, so that it feels like a new adventure always awaits you as you wake up every day. But here's the thing, Fern isn't that kind of nomad. Without her savings or a steady income, she bounced from job to another job. She sleeps and lives in a van. Then she traveled through places and met a nomad community. She learned through pain in process. She finds solitude in loneliness, and she celebrates different kind of views. This film genre is drama and indie storytelling. The major themes in Nomadland is relationship and community, warmth in sadness, wanderlust, and freedom in entrapment. Fern was portrayed by Frances McDormand, and other cast were played by a real nomad as their own character. Linda May as Linda, Charlene Swanky as Swanky, nomad YouTuber Bob Wells as Bob Wells, and so many more. As we can see, this film narrates in only one main character perspective of view, that is Fern.
That ring is a circle, and it never ends. And that means that your love never ends.
As you go through and dive deep the screenplay, you realize that Fern definitely had choices to lead a different life, but she had reasons to choose nomad life. And so did the other fellow nomads. It is true that to experience the world out there in great details, you need to leave your comfort zone and your defined life behind. It is also true that our today's purpose more often is inspired by our past experiences. Nomadland tells you to understand that there is something still worth to live. You might fall hard if you're always keeping your head down, so the only thing you have is to keep your heads up and go forward. The emotion I felt during this whole movie is this desperate sadness, this loneliness, this silent pain in the idea that Fern life has been robbed and push her to move along for what has happened. She unable to grieve in comfortable surroundings and without any support system at all. Fern is cut loose to a world she wasn't quite prepared to live in. The end is disquieting. The main conflict is not resolved. Fern doesn't live happily ever after in a beautiful home with Dave, as we hope. It challenges you to think though that maybe she is happy in her own way. Well, not everyone's happiness will look the same, nor everyone's grief. Nomadland is crafted like a long painting composed of 1,000 of a gorgeous melancholic frames, and it's like this poetic meditation grief which connects to your soul on emotional level. This film is like an odyssey that introduces us to the quiet life of nomads that have been pushed to the edge of poverty and into the harshness and isolation of nomadic life. Tons of films are made on the subject of grief every year, but only a handful of them are able to evoke the kind of gloom and catharsis that Nomadland does. It is not just about struggling with grief, but it is also about the feelings of uncertainty, about how it also makes you question the validity of emotions, about whether or not you need to hold on to something so tightly, or is it the act of self-sabotaging to actually for you not to try to move on? It depends on how we view things and react to the circumstances. This shows how perfect of complex imperfections humans are. There are some viewers throw some negative review that said that this film is boring and slow. Well, I agree to disagree. This film is represented how real life is. It is not as full of wonderful and positive day as you wish. This film takes you away from living in a fixation of mindset to expect living in everlasting happiness. Because there's a time you'll actually stumble and eventually you learn and you get back up. Nomadland works wonderful because it is beautifully combines masterful filmmaking with personal human storytelling narrative. It is one of the most realistic and moving films. The chemistry of gloomy and tranquil shots that represent a first conflicted mind and struggle. The exceptional music score by Ludovico Einaudi. It is not an exciting or adrenaline-pumping movie by any means. It takes a whole lot of passion to try to get yourself sucked into this Nomadland world. But once you do, trust me, you'll find it so hard to live.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely, more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines by chance or nature's changing course undimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou walkest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe and eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
Beautiful.